Hi there, I'm Paul Eden, editor of EVA Magazine. I'm here with EVA Media at the EBACE show in Geneva in 2024 with Kieran Daly from Airbus Helicopters, who is going to show us this magnificent ACH175 behind us. So, Kieran, first of all, what's this all about? This is a big helicopter. This is bigger than the ACH160 indoors. I've seen these before flying people to oil rigs. What's with this one here on display?
So the Airbus concept with all our helicopters, Paul, is that we have a basic design of the helicopter,
Yep.
and then that is used for particular purposes in particular markets.
Sure.
Typically, there's one particular sector
Yep.
where any given helicopter is core aimed at.
Yeah.
In this case, it was very much the oil and gas exploration market.
Yeah.
And also search and rescue, for example.
Yeah.
So that was the original target. However, we will then develop various variants of the helicopter for other markets. And what we're seeing here, of course, at EBACE
Yeah.
is the corporate version.
Yeah.
And we call it the ACH175. That's the Airbus Corporate Helicopters 175.
Okay.
And you'll see that that's the specific interior that we've got.
So let's go and look at that, if we may. I mean, I've seen these things flying at Norwich Airport, flying people out to rigs, big guys, lots of kids, all crammed in there, pretty rugged. This I wouldn't say is quite so rugged inside. This is quite a nice fit. So maybe we can go and take a look.
Absolutely.
So the first thing I'm noticing as we walk up here is this step, which I'm assuming is electric and retractable.
Yes. So this is what we have on the corporate aircraft.
Yeah.
The version, what we're seeing here, this specific aircraft, and you can put different interiors inside.
Yeah.
This is it's a very comfortable, very nice interior, but it's a relatively standard version, I'd say.
Yeah.
So there are actually 12 seats in here, which is fairly snug, but it's still quite a comfortable way to fly.
Yeah.
Of course, you can have a lot fewer seats in that,
Right.
and have a lot of fun with designing the interior.
So what would a customer do who came along and looked at this and said, yeah, I love the size, I love the space, don't want that cabin? What are the options you could give them?
So we offer our standard cabin, which we call the line configuration.
Right.
So on all the aircraft, you have the line configuration initially.
Yeah.
That itself is a very comfortable, very nice, really quite sophisticated interior.
Sure.
However,
Yep.
if the customer says, in fact, I would like to do certain specific ideas here, and contrary to myth, in the helicopter world, we don't get extraordinarily bizarre requests.
Right.
It's not like in a jet. But with the 175, it's a very large cabin.
Yeah.
So if a designer wants to have some fun with it, then they can really work on it and produce something pretty classy.
Okay. And does a customer need to come to you and choose one of your designers, or can they bring in their own and you can work from scratch?
So several times we've worked with external designers. Obviously, it has to be a very close relationship to do that. And realistically, it needs to be somebody who is familiar with aircraft helicopters, because it's not just an aesthetic issue here. You have to have all your materials need to be qualified through the certification process.
Yeah.
So you can't just go in and do whatever you like. But in general, we can work with people, and we nearly always find a solution to achieve what they want. A very typical example, particularly on the 175, is if you have a customer who already owns a jet, then they may want to have the same kind of interior, reflecting at least the materials and the colours inside the helicopter, and we can definitely work with people to do that.
Okay, now this one is a kind of a grey colour. It looks a little bit military, if I'm honest, with this grey colour here. I'm guessing people could specify whatever colour they want, again to match a jet, but also there is a military connection with this aircraft, or this type of aircraft, I believe, isn't there?
So the 175 is now being offered in quite a few different markets.
Right.
So the oil and gas still remains the core sector for it.
Yeah.
As you see here, it's in the corporate market.
Yeah.
It's already in search and rescue operations in Hong Kong, where it's been very successful for several years now. And now we are pushing it increasingly at the military market. So there's a developing need to replace some elderly helicopters like the Puma, for example, in the UK, and there's other operators around the world. So we're talking. They're fairly well-known opportunities in the Middle East, elsewhere in Europe. There really is an opportunity for this size of helicopter, which hasn't really been offered in that market for quite a while now.
So the RAF, the UK, entered Puma into service the year I was born. And I'm only slightly greyer than this helicopter, so that tells you how long ago it was. We'll take a look at the cabin in a moment, but just peeking in there, what I'm seeing is nowhere for luggage. Where can we put our bags and all the kinds of things we travel with?
Yes, so we have an answer.
That's a big space.
Yeah, in this corporate version of the helicopter, there's a closed bulkhead between the cabin and the luggage compartment here.
Yeah.
In the military version, we take out the bulkhead, so the troops that are inside can immediately get their equipment, and by the time they come out of the door, they're ready to go off and fight. But it's a terrific space. It's difficult to imagine that wouldn't suit most people's purposes. I think.
Yeah. I can see it's all quite lined and rugged as well. It's not going to suffer a great deal of damage if you throw something in there carelessly, is it?
No, absolutely. And I think, if you're using it as a kind of a corporate shuttle, it is, even though it's a corporate aircraft, it's going to get a bit of wear and tear over the years. So it needs to be reasonably rugged as well as looking the piece.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, that's great. Can we take a look at the cabin?
Absolutely.
So now we're in the cabin. What's really struck me immediately is the space. This is actually more space than a small jet. It's more space in here than a light jet. You said there are 12 seats?
Yeah.
It's hard to believe that sitting here because it doesn't feel like I'm crammed. I don't feel like it's tight. I've got plenty of headroom. Well, I'm a short guy. I've got plenty of headroom. I've got plenty of shoulder room. It's incredibly comfortable, even with 12. And these, you said it's quite a basic sort of corporate interior. This is beautiful quality. So there's still a real high level of care and design commitment that goes into this level of cabin.
Yeah, clearly there's at some point there's a compromise.
Sure.
So the more people you want to put into the helicopter, the more restricted you are in what you can achieve in terms of comfort. But it's interesting that you commented that it is still a pretty comfortable way to fly around. And one of the reasons it can need to be because the 175 has extraordinarily long range.
Right.
So in principle, you could be sitting in the aircraft for quite a long time. Now, in general, helicopter flights tend to be more like an hour or so, 5 minutes, that kind of thing. But if you, obviously, the 175 is a little bit of a special case. So the people who bought it in the first place needed its capabilities.
Yeah.
And you could be sitting here for a while. So, but I think even with some of the pretty physical individuals that you come across, particularly in the oil and gas market.
Yeah, quite.
Of course, this would be quite a nice way to fly.
Yeah.
I think it would be kind of tolerable anyway, for a long time. And if you did have the lower number of seats, then it would become a very tolerable way to fly.
Yeah, no, completely. The other thing I'm noticing is the details that perhaps aren't immediately obvious. So we've got gaspers up here, we've got the air vents up here, we've got reading lights, we've got this nice little screen here, which I'm guessing is controlling some kind of onboard entertainment system.
There's so with in-flight entertainment in helicopters, it's an interesting world. It becomes quite complex, quite costly to put jet-like IFV into helicopter.
Yeah.
So and typically because the flights are normally around about 45 minutes, turns out to be the average.
Yeah.
Then it's generally speaking, it doesn't make sense.
Sure.
So what people very often want to do is they're much more concerned these days having their own entertainment. They want to bring it on board, be able to plug in their iPad, maybe have some Bluetooth links.
Sure.
And we can do all that, and that keeps just about everybody happy in reality.
Yeah.
On this helicopter, you could have SATCOMs and so on if you needed to do that.
Yeah.
But I would say the aspirations in that whole kind of world, in the helicopter world, are very different from the fixed wing jets.
Yeah.
And it's fairly easy to satisfy what people realistically need.
Yes. Yeah. Really, the kind of final point I wanted to come to was, it's a big aircraft. It's got big windows. The size of this window here is huge. That's a great view out there. Obviously, it's not a pressurized aircraft, so you can do that. But this must be a very bright, comfortable cabin to fly in. Helicopters can sometimes feel a little bit claustrophobic, I think.
Sure.
But this is bright and airy to fly in, I'm guessing.
Yeah, no, it is. And you can see these are dimmable windows here.
Right.
It can be. It's a really lovely space to just to be spending some time in.
Yeah.
And that is important. I think we have the same thing on the ACH160 as well, where we went to a lot of trouble to get the maximum area of glazing into it that we can do, because you're absolutely right. That helps a great deal with relieving any kind of claustrophobia that you feel after a while.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad way to fly. Really.
No, and of course the last really element of that passenger experience is helicopters by nature do vibrate a bit. They can be a little bit noisy, but I'm guessing the soundproofing here is very good. And also you've got the hinged doors which seal that bit tighter than the sliding door, I think, don't they?
Yeah. I've flown it for quite a long time actually.
Right.
And So we have a high-speed cruise of about 150 knots. It's very comfortable around about 140.
Yeah.
And I flew for several hours in that one time. And you're not particularly conscious of the vibration, really. I mean, in the end, a helicopter is a certain amount of cabin noise that you're always going to have.
Yeah.
But if you really want to go to town on the furnishings, it's very important for you. Then you can do you can do something to mitigate that.
Sure.
But in general, it's a very comfortable helicopter, and those sort of typical flights of an hour or so, you're not going to feel any meaningful discomfort at all from that.
No, wonderful. That's great. That's been absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Nice talking to you.
Yeah, you too.